Hi, everybody. We have amazing Nina here tonight, and we'll be talking about mostly how is it living and working abroad. So, how does it happen? How did you came to the idea to leave Slovenia and which is so beautiful and start somewhere else?
So, hi everyone. I'm Nina, but everyone calls me Ninja just because I'm full of energy and also because I lived in 8 countries in 8 years. So, yeah, I think that's something special. Um, yeah, Slovenia is beautiful, and I have to say that we have a really comfortable life here if I compare it to living abroad. But of course, living abroad has its perks, and I had amazing 8 years living abroad, so I wouldn't change that for anything else. But yeah, I actually moved to Brussels, so Belgium was my first country that I moved to. I moved there when I was only 20 years old, and I was just basically a lost kind of a lost girl. I didn't know what to do. I finished like high school. I started working as a student. I tried studying something, but it wasn't for me. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do at this point, and everything just felt like it's too early to decide. But I knew that I wanted to travel, but I didn't have money, right? As like anyone age 20 wouldn't have. So I started kind of looking at my options. How can I either, work hard and then travel hard, or basically go and work abroad and kind of mash it all together. And yeah, and my first thought was just like I wanted to go to Australia or to America, or just like, these big countries. But I realized that I would be quite limited, about going there, because you need, first of all, like appropriate visa, and you cannot just stay like how long you want. It's just limited, and usually there are a couple of requirements. So, for example, I don't know. I know that United States has this J1 visa that you can just go and work like 3 months, or like Australia has like work and holiday. So you are also limited how much you can work and so on. So yeah, that was not really the best option for me, because I really kind of needed to work and get like a decent money, but I also wanted to travel. So I kept on digging, and came across like being an au pair. So an au pair is like a French thing. So, and it means that you're babysitting basically at a family that lives abroad, and they need to give you like a full board, so room and food, and in exchange you are babysitting like their child or children. But also you should have enough time to study, so either like you go to university, or I chose to study a foreign language, so that was French back in the days. And yeah, it was a great kind of, I think it was a great match, because it allowed me to work, and the kind of pocket money that they gave me on top of all the expenses paid was quite decent compared to what I could make here in Slovenia on a student salary. And yeah, I also learned French, and I had fun, and I could also save up a little bit money, and then, explore nearby countries and cities, and it was great.
Excellent. What was the next step, or what? Uh, how come that you visit 8 countries? It's quite a lot in this short period of time.
Well, I think the Belgium was the hardest to kind of get into, just because it was everything new, and I was still figuring out, how to do this, or like how to find the opportunities and so on. But I feel like after Belgium, like things just started to roll out. It was, it was not that hard anymore, because you get to like build a community of people who are also working abroad, and someone knows someone who has some like opportunities, or which websites to look to trust, like what are the, especially online, like what are the kind of red flags and so on.
Mhm.
So it just started to kind of go from there, I would say, like, because my contract with this like family that was au pairing with kind of ended. But then I was in this like Facebook group where like people were posting if they were looking for maybe like pet sitters or babysitters or anything like that, or working on farm. There are just so many opportunities like this. And I saw that there was one Slovenian single mom living in London and was looking for someone to take care of her son. So we started talking and so on. And like I said, so always be careful when talking online with someone. So there are lots of scams, but yeah, we also kind of did the calls and so on. And I got the opportunity to go to London, and from there I started also working in office, and I got to save enough money to go to Australia on I think it was like study, how is it called, like it's visa where you study and work, so you can work part-time, and but you also have to study. So if you stop studying, you get deported. um yeah, and so from there from there I went back to London, because when I lived in Australia, like I said, you have to study and you have to pay for school. I got kind of depleted with all of my financial resources, so I went back to London because I had some connections there. I worked hard again, save up money, and then I had an opportunity to go to Casablanca, where I was yoga teacher for half a year. After that, I went traveling through Morocco. It's beautiful. So whoever like was not in Morocco yet, I really recommend either renting a car or taking a train and just visiting like all the cities, big and small. Really nice. But yeah, anyway, after Morocco, I had this like crazy thought, that I wanted to be a flight attendant. And I was like, well, I have to do it now or like never, because I'll be too old. But newsflash, you're never too old to be a flight attendant. Maybe for some countries in like Asia or something like that. But in Europe, we can be also older. So just a thought of encouragement for everyone. But anyway, I had this idea that I wanted to do it, and I applied actually for British Airways, and I got rejected. And I think I also applied for Virgin Atlantic, and I also got rejected. But then I applied for Eurowings, and I got in, and I was a flight attendant, and I was moving to Vienna. And again, so here is a thing that I learned: you really have to stay like persistent and never give up. Everyone is saying that, but I don't think many people live that, or actually can endure these failures that are a part of not giving up.
Mhm.
So yeah, I was a flight attendant for 1 year, but the salary at Eurowings was not really up to my liking. So I was like, well, I have to try another like airline, and I saw that Finnair was hiring, um, and I applied, and I got the job. So I was moving to Helsinki, and yeah, it was very nice. So I had nice flights, long haul. I saw cities in China that I didn't even know that they existed. And China is beautiful, not just because of the architecture or the cities that we think when we think of China, but also their nature, like parks, are super super nice. Yeah, and then Corona happened, so that the whole travel industry got turned upside down, and I was like, well, I have to find like another opportunity, and I found this company that was hiring in Greece, that was looking for Slovenian speakers, and I applied there, and I was moving to Athens. So there you go.
I like that.
um, and after Athens, I had enough of traveling, and I was like, well, I want to go back to Slovenia. I want to find an apartment. I want to settle down, and yeah, just maybe enjoy a bit simpler life. And I do this now for 4 years, I think.
So is it already hitting under your butt to go somewhere else, or are you still in this calm?
Well, to be honest, I do have this thought that when I will do something crazy again, um, I kind of help myself with regular traveling. So I still like enjoy traveling a lot, and I go like to maybe like, I don't know, 6 trips a year. So it's pretty good. But still, sometimes I'm like, sometimes I have these thoughts that really those were kind of the best days of my life. Like, they were really hard. I'm not gonna say like the days in Slovenia are just much lighter, just passing by. Everything is nice, everything is cool. But yeah, back in the days, like, everything was like exciting and new, and it was always like, oh, what's gonna be next? So yeah, maybe someday I'll be like, well, I have enough of this simple life, and I'll be like, I'm leaving. So but no, not that soon.
Okay, you posted 2 posts on LinkedIn about what you learned from each country where you were. But so anybody who's interested could see that on your profile. But let's get to another direction. What was I don't know, the most surprising or strange thing that you saw or experienced in one of these or some of these countries?
I would say, I mean, it was nothing like crazy that I would say that I would relate to work, because I would just say that I figured some career, how should I say, like lessons, like in life, like much earlier that I would do here in Slovenia, but I think I would learn them here as well. I just did it a bit earlier because, well, I was like there alone, and no one else could basically help me. So I would say that this these things that you learn through career, so for example, like, you know like I said, so to be persistent, so to fail so many times, like that, you're replaceable at work. You have to find opportunities, like you have to fight for yourself. You have to kind of motivate yourself, and also you have to kind of market yourself. So just these things, I think, in, like, let's say in London, where when where the market is so competitive, you have to, like, they're much bigger than in Slovenia, right? Because in Slovenia there is just a small pool really of kind of options, or this, like, how should I say, like corporate, like serious corporate world, right? But in London, everything in Slovenia, like that you would think about, like about Slovenia corporate world, is everything is there, like on speed, like everything is just bigger, it's crazy, for one job application there would be like 500 people. Even when you're looking for a room to basically rent, it's like you have to somehow manage to get the room, like out of, I don't know, 150 people, like, yeah, so things like that. But I would say like the crazy stories like that, we talked about some like interesting things. I think this happened mostly when I was traveling for fun. So I don't know, for example, I was in Maldives and I was like, well, what I'm gonna do alone in Maldives on like some island for like 6 days. I was like, oh, this, I don't know why I booked this, but I was like, oh, I wanted to go to Maldives, so here I am. Um, but then I met two more solo travelers, so both of them were solo, and we locked our eyes like in the breakfast like next morning, and we started to talk, and we had like amazing couple of days together. And after this Maldives trip, one of those solo travelers, he went to Dubai, and I also went to Dubai with like 2 days, like 2 days later. And then we also kind of had fun there, like we hang out, we went to see like attractions and so on. I think like those stories actually stay in your head and are like, the stories that you kind of tell when someone asks you. And I have so many like this. And you're like, I always remember people, right?
Yeah.
People are the ones that kind of get stuck in your memory. So
Yeah, I think what you thought about looking for jobs and things, you have more experience than a lot of people here in Slovenia who started a job and stayed at it for 10, 12, 20, 30 years. You have built this resilience and trust in yourself because you know you are capable of finding and promoting you and finding a job even in this competitive environments. So I think that's one of the things that is really valuable from because I talked to a lot of people who went abroad, who tried that, and most of them tell that their experience is much broader than here in Slovenia. That we are so limited in our minds here, and that everybody should go out and try that.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, so I feel like this 4 years that I'm in Slovenia, I mean, I learned a lot in regards to, corporate world, and like like working in an office, climbing that corporate ladder, how should I say? And I think I'm pretty good at it. So but the years abroad, it's just like I learned different things, like you said, like resilience and more like life things and soft skills and things like that, that you can use anywhere, everywhere. How should I say?
Mhm.
But um, but yeah, I think that's why we should go and have this experience, is because it just teaches you this, how should I say, like life lessons that you wouldn't know otherwise. And you get to know people, and you're more open to cultures, I would say. Many times in Slovenia I hear about like, oh, like this and this are like moving in, they're taking our jobs and so on, so on. And I'm like, well, in London it's like everyone from all around the world is competing for one spot, and it doesn't matter like where you're from, how you look, like what gender you are or something. for the ones that are hiring, it matters like how skilled you are and like what you'll do to kind of bring them money, right? So that you're worth it, and nothing else matters. And I think people are maybe here in Slovenia a bit afraid that also, like someone more skilled can kind of take over. Well, you have to be better if you don't want this to happen, right?
Yeah.
So you have to self improve.
Yes, and I find it amazing that you tried so many different, actually different jobs, unrelated jobs, I would say. I was kind of amazed with that. But what if you would start again at 20 right now? Would you do something different, or is it just the way it is? It was perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. Like I said, it's just it was crazy. It was crazy. Never in my life I thought things will play out as they were. But of course, knowing what I know now, because I went through this, I would do a couple of things differently. I feel like one kind of major thing that I didn't do, and I would tell maybe like my 20-year-old to do it, is to monetize this traveling and moving abroad more that I did. So now, we have this like really good quality cameras on our smartphones, and you can snap videos, pictures, and so on, like in a minute and post it online. We have all like really fast internet and so on. But like 10 years ago, this wasn't really the case. You had like really a like so camera on iPhone, and internet was still not like as fast. Mobile data was not as fast, or like you wouldn't get such a big bundle that you do now. So I think I didn't really do enough to do maybe some pictures or even videos and like post online and just kind of start kind of gaining the momentum from it. Because even now when I tell people that I lived in 8 countries in like 8 years, they're like really surprised and they want to know like everything about it, even though now this is much more common and much more accessible, going abroad and traveling and so on, that then it was like, what is it now, like 12 years ago. Mm, so yeah, I think I would try to kind of get some opportunities out of blogging, vlogging, that journey. If I knew that this digital social media boom will happen and that people will actually start
But
earning big bucks out of it.
have you thought about it even as a possibility when you were doing that, or it is just now knowing what you know today?
Well, I did write a blog. So the blogging was really popular back then, and I did write blog. And I also had this it was this blogger from Google, and I had the ads on it, and I think I kind of earned like couple of bucks just to get some coffees for free from that. So it was something, but I didn't really put like too much effort in it, right? It was just like, oh, I'll do it because I like doing it, but if I don't really have the time or something, I won't do it. But we all know that being consistent on social media is the key, even when you don't have time or maybe some ideas, like you have to do it, right? But at that time, I just didn't think of it like as much, because some people were earning some money from the social media also then. Mostly it was YouTube, I think, back then. But it was not as common, or I would say easy, let's say, it's also now not too easy, but let's say back in the days it was not too common, right, to really be earning quite good money out of it. I think that came like after, or you had to be really good, like on YouTube or something to get money out of it. But for me, it was still, uh, I had to have like a decent income every month to continue what I was doing. It was not just like, okay, I'll try this, and if it doesn't happen, well, yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. So I think, and I always say that today is the easiest time ever to grow a business yourself, especially in digital space and on social media. Social media is great. I tried several businesses before, and in years before you have to pay for expensive ads on TV, on billboards, on flyers, everything. Today you have free social media when you can advertise whatever you want. And this what you have, this is 8 countries in 8 years and practically 8 different occupations. It's so unique experience. I can't imagine, you know.
Yeah. But you also like, yeah, now, especially, I think with all these digital solutions, it's much easier to be kind of self-employed, right? Because you have so many this IT AI solutions, that you can do quite quite good for yourself, right? So it's not like limited just on your skills or something. You can quickly kind of gain knowledge on other things or use other programs and so on. But when we're talking about maybe like business and also this like social media as a business, I still really think you need to have story, right? So you need to have this life experience, like about, and you can talk about it. If you don't have it, well, you cannot really talk about much. So in either way, I would say, comparing like back in the days or now, like in either times, you had to do things to be able to talk about it.
Yeah,
So.
of course, of course. I work with startups, and they usually ask me because they heard that if you have a passion, you don't have to work in your life. And I said, okay, but and they say, how do I find the passion? And I said, okay, what have you tried? And they say, okay, I was in the school, and I haven't tried much. So how can you find your passion? You don't find your passion watching Netflix. You find your passion going out and do things, and you experience by yourself what you enjoy, and that's your passion.
Yeah, yeah. um and also, I would kind of point at Slovenia, like, when we're talking about this. uh, I feel like people were telling me a lot when I lived and moved abroad. They were telling me a lot, like, you are so lucky, like, they were like, wow, that's crazy, like, oh, it's so, everything comes so easy for you, they were like, they were talking these things, and I was like, well, I'm working like 3 jobs just, to sustain myself, like in London, where the rent is like crazy. Why you do like just one job and complain about like low pay, and I take subway to work, where we are like sardines, and you're like nice in your car, driving to work, and I have to fight for basically everything, and for example, in Slovenia, there's still lots of nepotism and so on. So yeah, like looking at it, it's like people, people that say a lot, like, I don't know what my passion is, or everything is easy for everyone but not me. I feel like they are the ones that really should get out of their shell and try something new. Because if you think like that, clearly you have not tried anything difficult or out of your comfort zone. So
Yeah, yeah. especially not for enough time, because usually people in Slovenia we have this social system that is so I don't know, improper in a lot of ways, in study, in I don't know, unemployment, and a lot of things are out of reach. But let's not get into that. So we are around 30 minutes. So let's wrap it up, and I would say, tell us some final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Well,
Perhaps what would you recommend for somebody like you were at 20? Should they do what you did, or not?
yes, like those were kind of really the most exciting days of my life. But the one kind of one thought that I have that I want like everyone to take kind of with you. So when you're leaving this live stream is, live your dreams, like make your dreams a reality. It's not, when we think about our dreams and what we really want, we just think it's so out of reach. But that's how I felt like one day, and I accomplished everything that I dreamed of. So, like, really think about your dreams, think about the steps that you need to do to achieve the dream, because it is possible. It just takes couple steps, couple failures, and sometimes a little bit of luck, but it is possible. And go and follow them and live them and enjoy yourself and be happy and inspire others.
Thank you. You are the inspiration, and let's finish here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.